Hello and welcome to The Globe, a show that brings you local and international news. I'm Lulu Gabu. Thank you for joining us. The Southern African Development Community has urged the Democratic Republic of Congo to recount votes cast in its presidential election. The call has raised pressure on Kinshasa to ensure the legitimacy of the next government and avert widespread violent unrest. The December 30th vote was supposed to mark the DRC's first uncontested democratic transfer of power in 59 years of independence. Irregularities, including faulty voting machines, have overshadowed talk of democratic progress. Sunday's intervention by SADC could push Kabila to tackle the presidential runners-up's accusations that the vote was rigged. Second place of Finance Minister Martin Fayulu says he is in fact won by a landslide and that the official winner, opposition leader Felix Tshisekedi, struck a deal with Kabila to be declared the victor. International pressure on Kabila has been building since the vote, in part because Congo's influential Catholic Church said that tallies compiled by its 40,000 strong monitoring team show a different winner to that announced by the Electoral Commission. Meanwhile, the chairperson of SADC's organ on politics, defense and security, Edgar Lungu, has proposed that the DRC's political leaders consider a government of national unity. This after one of the opposition's coalition parties rejected the presidential results. Meanwhile, South Africa, as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, has requested the council to send a mediation team to the DRC. Today, the International Relations Minister clarified why South Africa had asked the UN Security Council to postpone its meeting last week. Our foreign editor Sophie Mukwena compiled this report.
The DRC, a country that has experienced political instability for many years, the recently concluded presidential elections have again put the country on a knife edge. SADC is now proposing that the leaders look at a government of national unity.
For us, as South Africans, we've been through that step, and it worked for us. If it works for the DRC, it is for the people of the DRC to conclude, and it is for the people of the DRC to take that decision.
The UN Security Council is also discussing the DRC matter.
Our contribution to the UN Security Council this time is twofold. One, the fact that we were able to get concession from the UN Security Council to postpone the debate. If we'd had the debate on that Tuesday, before even the provisional results were out, we would only have been talking on speculation, and that would worsen the situation. By the time we had the debate on Friday, we were all of us much more informed about the situation there, because the observer missions had finished their work. CENI had a provisional report. We had the United Nations representative there also making their comments. We also listened to the churches and the comments that they have made. So we had a much more holistic base of information from which to make our comments. And at the end, the proposal from South Africa that we send a mediating team was not to preempt what would be done, but to say, in addition to anything else, which is what we were proposing should happen, going through the Constitutional Court, in addition to all of that, we would consider, as the United Nations Security Council, sending a mediating team to make sure that the peace that prevailed in the DRC prevails right through until the final outcome of the results and the final outcome of the Constitutional Court.
Zambian President Edgar Lungu is constantly engaging stakeholders in the DRC.
What President Lungu gave was an option, that if there is room for other stakeholders to have an inclusive government. This is a position which he consulted with to start with. He was not speaking as the Zambian head of state, he was speaking as the chair of the Organ on Peace and Security.
The special advisor to Felix Tshisekedi says they have no issue with the mediation proposal.
South Africa has always been involved in the affairs of Congo. Okay, and in any event, we're already talking to the South African government. Okay, we're not in government yet, we just have a president-elect, but we're having, let's call it, informal discussion. Okay, so we are open, we are willing for the South African government. In fact, we invite them to be involved once more.
The DRC will continue to be on the Security Council's agenda. Sophie Mugweng, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Earlier, advocate Sipho Mantula, researcher at the Institute for Dispute Resolution in Africa, joined us to speak more on the DRC.
You will remember that when he has visited South Africa last week for his medical routine, he did engage with President Ramaphosa. So one can say that, is it a panacea to the post-election dispute? One will say that maybe we should allow the court process and as well for the national dialogue in that country, because the issue of the government of national unity, remember in 2001, they had the same similar arrangement, which it was just a precursor to the first elections in 2006. So DRC, there is a complexity around political leadership rather than focusing on the building of the multi-party democracy.
Now, what is the alternative?
You know, Mahindra, one will say that the issue that Fayula has now went to the court and asked for a recount, and then SADC agreeing with that recount, it still says a lot about their preliminary report. Even the AU and the issue of the mediation, yes, we need to have the track 2 mediation, but in that mediation, why don't we put the civil society? And in this instance, some of us are concerned about the role of the church now, that in their mediation process now, it is now taking a lead not to look at the development of leadership and even look at the parliamentary results, you know, that now you have the ruling party having more seats, and it is only now contestation around presidential seats. And you have 3 provinces that were disenfranchised. Now, should March come, will there be any change with the March vote? We are not sure. The African Union Peace and Security Council, we don't hear anything about it, rather we hear the UN.
Now, you also have Martin Fayulu, one of the losing contenders, taking to court over the results to force a recount. What do you think will be the outcome? What are his chances of success?
You know, I think he has compiled a dossier of evidence, because in any electoral dispute resolution, you need to bring a dossier. I think one can say he might have chances, because if SADC have already cited with him saying a recount, it is possible. And then I think when it is a recount manually, then you might even have to say, should you go for a fresh elections, or should you even declare him a winner? So it will be a very difficult, one can say, prediction, you know, to say about what will be the outcome based even what people have been saying about impartiality of the judges, because it is worrying when people are saying the judges are aligned to the ruling party, when actually we should put these judges to a test and remind them of the Kenyan saga of Justice Maraga.
Yes, but Fayulu seems to be really confident about the outcome.
I think so, Mahindra, but at the same time, remember that we have this domestic observer mission report that has said that we can confirm that you were leading at some point. And at the same time, we have this poll, you know, this survey that was running before the elections that is giving him confidence. And at the same time, you had both Moses, Katumbi, and Bemba's supporters who are fuming, protesting, and the young people. So you find that in DRC, there is still this hunger for power, but they're not focusing on development, they're not focusing on dealing with economy and as well as the foreign influence. Because what is worrying again, is he funded by the EU? Is he supported by France? So it is worrying when you look at the foreign powers' influence and interest in this matter.
And how do you see the immediate future of the DRC?
The immediate future, it looks bright when you think of the young people of that country who can rise up and the elders who can guide them. And I think when you look at the young people and the women of that country, they are very, one can say, brave and workaholics, but it is for them to understand the culture of democracy, governance, and as well as to live side by side with their neighbors, because the future of DRC, it sits even with the neighboring countries, more than 9 countries that are looking at DRC as their lifeline.
And how will the Fayulu case affect the proposed government of national unity?
You know, I think it is bit worrying because it's politics, it's a political arrangement, it's a political solution, but we are awaiting a legal solution, and the legal solution can go either way. And in either way, remember that parties have to accept the court judgment. But if you look at the government of national unity as a second option, what is critical is for all parties to agree about the government of national unity with the aim to fix their electoral process and system, because I don't think it is quite fair for us to be saying the electoral process went well when it was raining, voting judges got missed, others were not waiting, and then we had the pressure of elections being delayed for more than a week, results being delayed. So one can say that it is critical for the DRC to look at their future electoral system as well as the court system, because the presence of the police as well, the issue of the military being present in different cities, it might even preempt violence in that country. So one can say that DRC has to find its way back to the regional community.
There's been